Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Adam and I make videos to help you pass your English language and literature exams. Right now in this series we're going through AQA, English Language Paper 1. So if that's you, great. If not, bugger off. I'll be doing the other exams soon. And let's look at what we're actually going to be doing. I'll be covering AQA right now. I'll be covering Edexcel, OCR, maybe WoodJek. If you want WoodJek, you got to let me know, okay? Because I'm not sure there's going to be enough interest in WoodJek, actually. I'll do some Cambridge, I'll do some Educast, and I'll do some Pearson Edexcel for you fancy IGCSE people. So yeah, let's just dive straight in. This is part 2 of the series that I'm doing. So if you saw part 1, great. If you didn't, bugger off, go and see that and then come back, okay? You can go back and watch that another time, but we're going to look at question 1, 2, 3, and 4 in this series, and then we'll look at question 5, which is the writing in a different series, because that's a whole different beast. We looked at question 1, so today's focus is going to be question 2. But as promised, we're going to do a quick recap of everything at the start of each lesson. You might be like, why are you doing that? That seems like a waste of time. You need to know this stuff inside out. You need to be bored of it, okay? You need to be bored of me talking, even though I know I'm hilarious and interesting. So question 1, you're going to always get a question that's from the first 1 to 6 lines. List 4 things you learn about something. We're looking at an extract from Half of the Yellow Sun by Chibi, and it's about Ugwu and this other character called Master and his auntie. So 4 things you learn about Master. We did that last lesson, super easy. You literally just take quotes from the text. So Master was crazy, etc, etc. Okay, so then question 2 that we're going to focus on today, you're going to be looking at how the writer uses language to describe something. In this case it's Ugwu's impression of the city, so we'll be looking at that. You'll get about 10 to 15 line extract to pick language. We're going to talk very carefully about why language is so important there. Then question 3 will always be, how has the writer structured the text to interest you as the reader? That's a whole different thing, looking at structure, so we'll look at that next lesson in detail. And then finally question 4, you'll be given a statement, and the statement normally has 2 things that you're looking to agree or disagree with. In this case it is whether Ugwu is initially excited and then by the end does he seem disappointed, okay? And we'll look at question 4 in detail in a future video. So looking directly at question 2 for today, well, one other quick thing actually, once you've read question 2, 3, and 4, that's when you can read the extract, okay? And I want you to spend about 15 minutes reading the extract and getting a highlighter pens out so that you can actually get some really good annotations, some good quotes for question 2, 3, and 4. You don't need to plan or prep for question 1. If you see the other video, you'll see how quickly we bang that out in like a minute. But question 2, 3, and 4 does need a little bit of planning time. Definitely pre-planned, pre-highlighted quotes, okay? So for question 2 specifically, that is this section. Like, before you would read the extract in the exam, you would actually write language to present Ugwu's impression of the city. You'd put that there so that you know that as you read this section, you're looking for specifically language and specifically how Ugwu looks at the city or has an impression of the city. Question 3, you would always write at the top here. I would just write FPPS. Again, we'll go through what that means exactly in the next lesson. I did briefly go through that in the previous lesson, but FPPS is the acronym you need for question 3. I would write that at the top as a reminder. And then question 4, in this case, you would bracket from line 20 all the way down to the end. And on the side, you would just write 2 things. You would write, is Ugwu initially excited, question mark, and then is Ugwu ultimately disappointed, question mark. So as you read that section from line 20 to the end, you actually are looking specifically for whether you think you agree or disagree with those statements. I'll be wearing a less tattered shirt probably. I literally just ran in from having a cup of coffee and I'm doing this quickly while I'm buzzing off my espresso. So question 2, the acronym that you need for question 2, or if you want an acronym, you don't technically need an acronym, but if you want one, I would use this, SMILE. So we're going to look for some of this stuff in these 10 or so lines together. In the previous lesson I picked out one just quickly, which was this simile, like polite well-dressed gentlemen. So the bungalows were described as being like polite, well-dressed gentlemen. So that could be one quote for sure on the impression that Ugwu has on the new location, on the city. And the simile is quite pleasant, obviously, a polite, well-dressed man or gentleman. But anyway, this shows that it's a positive impression of the city. I'd say that it suggests that the city is quite clean and calm and orderly. He feels safe there, right? All I'm doing is extracting connotations from the simile. So that would be one good one there. You could also look, so there's the simile. I quite like that. It helps to make sure I've got a diverse range of ideas. This could be emotive language. It might make you feel quite sorry for Ugwu or sorry for his scenario. The fact that he can't even conceive of the fact that someone could eat meat every day and what a luxury that would be. He did not disagree with his auntie though, because he was too choked with expectation, too busy imagining his new life away from the village. They had been walking for a while now since they got off the lorry at the motor park, and the afternoon sun burned the back of his neck. That again could be a little bit of emotive language, or it could also be imagery, the fact that there is this burning heat in this city. But he did not mind. He was prepared to walk hours more in even hotter sun. That line also definitely shows us that Ugwu is really happy to be in this new city. He's ready to work hard. He's just really excited and happy to be there. He had never seen anything like the streets that appeared after they went past the university gates. Streets so smooth and tarred that he itched to lay his cheek down on them. Now this bit here for sure is an interesting image. The image of Ugwu laying his cheek on the tarmac is a pretty strange image. You can imagine that the reason that he's doing that again is this positive impression of the city, this idea that he feels that it is so clean and so neat and tidy that he could literally just lay down on it. I think that also adds to that idea of safety again. He feels very safe and comfortable in the city here. The bungalows were painted the color of the sky. So this is starting to become metaphor. It's metaphor and imagery to some extent, because they're not literally the sky or the color of the sky, but that's what it reminds him of. So the metaphor there helps, and the imagery there helps to show that the city is very light and airy and beautiful, and it seems very natural. The hedges separating them were trimmed so flat on top they looked like tables wrapped with leaves. Again, this is another simile, the idea of clean and orderly and tidy and neat, right? Hedges that were so flat they look more like tables than hedges. We've got some sort of metaphorical language. We've definitely got some imagery. In terms of other language techniques, I quite like the streets so smooth. That's sibilance. You could call it alliteration, but because it's S sounds, it is even more specifically sibilance. So the sibilant sound, streets so smooth, it creates this quite whispered voice, and that softens the tone, and it makes it again seem like Ugwu's impression of this city is that he feels calm and safe and immersed in this new landscape of the city. The language prompt could be anything, basically, any language device. Oxymorons, juxtaposition, onomatopoeia, synecdoche, sibilance, alliteration, assonance, consonants, you name it, it could be that. Now, if you don't have a good list of language devices that are already prepped in your mind at this point, I would highly recommend you comment down below saying, help me, I've hit through this series. That prompt will tell me that you're looking for language videos on devices. And if I get enough likes, comments, shares, whatever of this content, then I definitely will build out a language toolkit for everyone. I think that you need to know about 15 or 20 language devices going into these GCSEs. Maybe you're not quite there yet. Don't worry, I've got you. I think we also did some emotive language up here, didn't we? Eating meat every day. So I picked probably 5 or 6 things from this extract. Your job for question 2 would just really to pick 4 things across 2 paragraphs. And I don't want to make this video super long, but just really quickly, let's just do a couple of ideas in here together. Paragraph 1 would be Ugwu's impression of the city as very safe and clean. And one of the evidences that you might do for that would be the polite, well-dressed men. And another one might be the streets so smooth he wanted to lay his cheek on the tarmac. I think you could easily explain those two language devices as showing Ugwu to feel very safe and clean. I would also say that Ugwu is very enthusiastic about the new city and almost amazed. You could perhaps talk about the fact that he can't believe that people here eat meat every day. That's the emotive language. You could also talk about the quote where it says that the houses were like the colors of the sky, or the fact that the hedges were so perfectly cut on top that they were almost like tables. So both of those show his enthusiasm and amazement at this place. It's like nothing that he's seen before. There was also one other quote that could go in here, which was about how Ugwu was already burning from the sun, but he would walk further and longer in this place. So again, that shows his amazement, enthusiasm at what he's seeing. That is pretty much everything that I would put in to question 2. Other thing that I need to tell you is that question 2, you should be writing 2 paragraphs, and you should be writing about 150 words roughly per paragraph, and you should be spending about 10 minutes of your exam time on writing that question. Okay, so it's quite tight actually, 300 words in about 10 minutes, about 30 words per minute. Most of you probably aren't quite at that pace, that's why you need to practice this. That's how you get sort of an 8 out of 8 for this question. I think that's going to wrap it up for this one. If you liked it, please like it. If you thought it was useful, please share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you in the next one.